Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Women's Council of NAREB, Professional Women in Real Estate, our Series 3. And this is probably the most special episode that we have had. This is our very last episode, last but definitely not least. I am going to go ahead and start with Madam President Letitia Grant, who is our fearless leader. We also have our wonderful panel of amazing women who have not only decided to take their personal time, but to partner with us on a professional level. And they have graced us. Of course, we have our co-host, Madam Latanya Donaldson from Prime Lending. We have Viola Solomon from US Bank. And then we have our first timer, Miss Donna Green from Wells Fargo. Thank you, ladies. Before I get started, I'm going to pass the mic over to you, Madam President, for you to say a few words, and then we will go ahead and jump right into our celebration of the Boss Lady.
So first of all, I am definitely excited to be here today on our last episode and definitely the last episode under my administration. So thank everybody for joining us. And in celebration of the Boss Lady, I don't think that we can do it enough. So I am excited to be here to celebrate all of those that are on here. I want to send a special shout out, special thank you to my longtime co-host, Madam Latanya Donaldson. Man, we have been doing this for a second. And then not to mention definitely a special thank you to Miss Viola, who has recently joined us under this platform as well. I have enjoyed Professional Women in Real Estate. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Great. Thank you so much, Madam President Letitia. Of course, our amazing, most loyal co-host, Madam Latanya Donaldson. If you would like to go ahead and start with a few words, that would be great too.
So absolutely. First and foremost, I just want to thank Madam Letitia for bringing this to the forefront. And, it was something that we discussed, a few years back, even before she came into office, and just to see it come to fruition. It's just amazing. And, Madam Letitia, it has been my distinct pleasure to work with you during your presidency. I think you have done an amazing job, and I know that you stood on the shoulders of other women, but I know that women certainly stand on your shoulders, and I'm one of those. And so I really just appreciate everything that you poured into this. And I'm just really excited today to be amongst these titans, these amazing women. So Prime Lending appreciates the opportunity. This is bittersweet for me, so you might see tears. But and Tanya, thank you for stepping in. I mean, you've done an amazing job in taking this to the next level. So I am just greatly humbled and full of gratitude today.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. So I want to just go ahead and touch base and jump right in for this episode. This is celebration of the Boss Lady. Each and every one of us have someone in our lives that we would love to celebrate, that we do celebrate. Maybe we have the time, to tell them, or we think about them, pray for them. But specifically concerning this episode, I did want to know this amazing, well-accomplished panel of executive ladies, who their boss lady is and why they celebrate them. And I'm going to start off with you, Madam President Letitia.
So of course I was on mute, but oh my goodness, my boss lady, and I'm sure you guys have heard it before. My boss lady is definitely my mom. My mom was a single parent, age of 19. Is when she had me. Of course, she had to stop after me because that was it, right? I kind of broke the mold and did other things too. Just how she has had the ability to weather through all of the storms and all of that while keeping a smile on her face. And I know that professionally, we can take that and say, oh, well, that wasn't necessarily in the profession, but it taught me so much in how to handle myself as a woman and as a woman striving to do better. So, and I celebrate her all the time, not just on Mother's Day.
Oh my goodness, that is amazing. Thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and pass this question to Miss Viola, and then next will be Miss Donna, and then of course we'll go to Madam Latanya.
Well, I'm going to stay with the profession. And, good afternoon, everyone. I'm sorry I didn't say that, but I have to stick with the business. And I am going to, because if I go the other route, I'll really start crying. So, I have some wonderful, wonderful women, and this woman is pretty special to me as well. That's why I invited her to the call, and that's Donna Green. Because of her longevity in this business, this mortgage business, she has helped so many people do what we do every day. And I just wanted her to know that I celebrate her for all she has done for me and so many others.
Oh my God, that's
Oh.
so amazing. That is so amazing. And just so we know, Donna is the regional diverse manager for Wells Fargo. Donna, I'm going to go ahead and pass this same question over to you. Yes. Over
Well,
to you.
And don't say me just
Well.
because I said you.
no, there's been so many women, and I think like Viola, I'm going to keep it professional, because if I take it to the other side, it's going to strictly get spiritual. So we're going to keep it professional. When I think about a boss lady and women in this business, of course, my icon is Evelyn Reeves. She took me under her wing as a young chick and really taught me about what it meant to be a Black woman fighting for equality in a business that didn't necessarily want us in there. And so she brought me to NARAB. I look at how she challenges, how she stuck with it. And even when things got really tough, she got tougher. So it taught me how to be tough. I'm actually a benefactor of affirmative action. I grew up in the 50s and the 60s when there was a lot of radical movements. And let's just face it, they didn't want to hear a lot of things from Black women. But I saw this woman, Evelyn Reeves, and the way that she commanded attention, even at a time when they didn't want to hear from Black women. So she was my boss lady, and she kept me strong and made me strong. So what I've tried to do in the business is always reach back and pull somebody else up. I think that's important to do. And as Black women, we're not competitors. We are cohorts. We work together to make sure each of us are able to succeed. So that's what I do. I'm always willing to share.
Good stuff.
Well, of course. Now you asked me the question, and so I'm gonna have to go both ways, personally and professionally. And just for the lack of, just bring my authentic truth to this, because it does go on both sides, right? And for me, I would say my number one boss lady, like Letitia, is my mom, who's no longer with us, and because, well, what can I say about her? I mean, she was an amazing woman. She grew up in a time where there were not a lot of opportunities. She married my dad when she was 17, moved straight from the very south listen, between Dallas and Houston and Fairfield. See, people from Houston, they'll know that little country town. And moved our family to California. But my point is, this woman did not have a high school education. And now I see why y'all didn't want to do this. But just to see her tenacity in raising 4 amazing children who went off to be successful in their own right. And she always had my mom had she was very business minded, and to see, I mean, she was always very innovative. She would start her own little businesses and was successful. So I know that's where I get my tenacity from. And then on the professional side, to Donna's point, it's just too many to name, but the two names that just pop up, Stephanie Kauser, who
Oh
really
yeah.
introduced me, to this business. And and then Sarita Battles, who became a
Mhm.
mentor. So I just have to point out
Mhm.
those two women because I mean, again, we're talking about titans,
Yeah.
Mhm.
I when I first met Stephanie, she was the first African American female who was in this space. And
Mhm.
and then of course I don't have to say anything about Sarita. I see her and I'm like, that's me. So
Mhm.
again, I have been blessed to be
Mhm.
around such amazing African American women who are just holding it down within their own, within their own space, and just to sit back and each of you on this call and just to watch you. Oh my God, that's just
Mhm.
such a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Oh
good.
my goodness. I love it. I love it. Definitely the running theme that I have heard here is that each of your boss ladies kind of learned how to fight, right? Fight for their
Mhm.
position. Basically, there's a term, getting it out the mud, which means like they're really like kind of pushing the way, paving the way, or progressing the way that was previously paved for them. But sometimes there's this notion amongst boss ladies, executive women, that there's like this internal, like this competition, this
Mhm.
fighting, this jealousy. And I'm sure that you've heard this before of, oh, women can't work together, or these women can't work together, especially if they have very, I guess, it's not looked as assertive, it's almost looked as like dominating, right? So when you
Mhm.
hear these I want to say, I'm going to call them stereotypes. When you hear other people mention the stereotypical, oh, she's jealous or competition, what processes through your mind, and how do you divert that and reframe that to that other person, or just internally throughout your executive career as a boss lady?
So I'm gonna start here because I was brought into this organization by Myra Edwards. I was introduced to the organization by Myra Edwards. We worked a transaction together, and she was like, and we wasn't the best of friends during this transaction. I was pretty pushy, but she was like, "We need you
Mhm.
over here," and she brought me into the organization. From there, I did a transaction with Carolyn Matthews. And for those of you that do not know Carolyn Matthews, you talk about she's a trailblazer.
That's another
Um,
mentor.
exactly.
Mhm.
And Carolyn, during this transaction, after it was over, she invited me to lunch. And we sat there and she just went over some best practice with me and just talked me through what she thought I should do, what she felt. And of course, when you're listening to her, you know she knows what she's talking about, right? And then after I got into the organization, I was pushed and mentored by Melinda Dykeman. So whenever I hear people say, I'm not going to tell them that it doesn't exist. But what I will say is those people that stand behind you, that bring you, that mentor you, that take the time to dedicate themselves to your success, you have got to think about them more than you do those individuals that are haters and or wanting to prevent you from getting to the top, because those three ladies, I can tell you for certain, they will outweigh the weight of anyone else that has come with negativity and or backbiting, and they will have your back like all the way.
Mhm.
So when we say, well, what do we do to overcome that negativity? Well, you just think about what brought you in and whom it is that supported you, and
Mm.
share it and share the story.
Mhm. Mhm.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to pass this next question to Viola.
I
But Viola, since Donna has been your mentor, what I'm going to reframe this question. How has Viola, or how has Donna supported Viola in in your own professional career? And when you have these kind of negativity aspects come up, what do you think is probably just a good actionable advice that you think Donna has given you or helped you out with?
Wow. So let me see if I can get through this without, choking up, right? So I'm like Letitia, I have a lot of folks that help me, But when I was in a position similar to Donna, as a matter of fact, at Wells Fargo. And I came from the sales side, which means I wasn't given a whole lot of presentations and all that good stuff. Well, we were on a call and I shared something, and I remember just being so bumpy with my words. I was so nervous. I was just like, I'm so embarrassed. And Donna Green jumped in. That girl was reading my mind. She finished my sentence. She finished whatever I was talking about. And I was just thinking, thank you, Lord. Thank you for this girl. But I knew she was jumping in to help me. And I tell you, that goes so far. So I would just tell any young woman, even if you think you're not ready, go for it. Go for those positions. I don't care if you're kind of bumpy with your words, whatever it is, you'll get over that stuff. There'll be somebody that will help you. And I pray it's somebody like Donna Green, because that's why, that's the kind of stuff Donna has done for me throughout my career. And knowing her, of knowing her.
Oh
Viola, you're going to make me cry.
That's why I didn't want to go there. I had another answer, but you changed it on me. So, but yeah, you've helped me so many times, and I'm
Thank
so
you.
appreciative.
And it's reciprocal, because you helped me too. And I listened to the question that you just asked, and I think about my career and what I've been over. But honestly, when there's been a challenge with another Black woman or a Black person within the company that I'm in, what I find is I have to meet them where they are, and they'll meet me where I am.
Yeah.
So they can bring something to me, I can bring something to them. And not to take it personal, because let's just face it, corporate America benefits from the crab in the barrel syndrome. But we don't have to operate like that. It's all about making sure that we're lifting each other up and protecting each other and keeping each other safe. So it's not just being safe when you're in the room with that person, but when that person is not in the room, you want to be protective of them and their reputation. So it's important that we not put each other down. And I can say that the women that I started in my career, over my career, that I had challenges with, those turned out to be some of my best advocates, because they challenged me. And when they challenged me, I had to step up to the challenge. And when I stepped up to the challenge, I grew. And I grew because I knew then at that point, oh, I can handle this type of situation. Oh, I can handle it. Gives you your grit, if you must say. So adversity is not always a bad thing. It can be a good thing, because it can help to grow you.
Right.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, Donna. Well said, because adversity, you do grow in that. And when I think about, jealousy, quite frankly, I can remember coming up and, in this business, and you do question. I think it's human of us to sometimes, oh my goodness, why can't I, blah, blah, blah. But what I had to do is go within myself, right? Because really it has nothing to do with anyone else. Okay. That's the easy thing, is to look at someone else. I had to go within myself internally and look at and align myself with what God's purpose is for me, because everybody has one. And see, there's enough seat space at the table for everyone. There's a seat for everybody, right? But then if that's on you. If you don't feel like you have what it takes, it has nothing to see. Your best bet, what I learned, is to let me partner with some of these women, right? Because I want what they have, but I want to take it and make sure that I'm doing it to glorify what God wants me to glorify, rather than it being about me. So
exactly,
for me, when I started to change my thinking, right? When you change your thinking, you change your world, things just started to happen for me.
Yep.
Good point.
Good.
I love that. Change your
Mhm.
thinking, change your world, and be
Mhm.
safe and protective of the people that are not around, of their reputation. I love that. So when I think about the celebration of the boss lady. And of course, there's so many different layers, there's so many different dynamics, and so many different hurdles that you will have to go through throughout your career, and probably still go through throughout your career. What strategies do you use or that you incorporate to make sure that not only are you included, but that you're inclusive and creating an inclusive environment? Madam
Well,
President.
So, and I'm going to speak from a perspective of organizational perspective, from Women's Council specifically. So, to be inclusive, Women's Council, and I don't know if everybody looked at it. Oh, well, was created and formed just for the women. So, for us as women, we have so many layers to us, and we must present those. So how do I ensure that other women are inclusive, such as platforms like this? As president, I don't try to run everything because I'm not perfect, right? And everything isn't for me. So I give flowers where flowers are due. And that's how I include my executive team. But in addition to that, ensuring that we have a seat at the table, we need to make sure that everyone understands and knows that we are relevant. So we may go, or I may go above and beyond 110 and 120 as a female and as a female leader to ensure that we are taken seriously. That's extremely important to me. All the cattiness, we leave that behind. And what we do is we show up, and we show up as professional women leaders, so that we can ensure that we always have a seat at the table, because we deserve it. We're just as qualified as any man. We're just as qualified as anyone else. And being a young leader, in addition to that, and so often you hear that stigma that's associated with your age. But what I want everyone to know, and I ensure that it is communicated, is that regardless of how old I am, I can hold my own. And we're going to show that. So everyone that comes behind me, that is the expectation, and people understand that.
I love
right.
it. I love it. Yes,
I love
yes.
it. I love it. And
Love
what
it.
she just described, and how I was going to answer this, is called courageous leadership. I think it takes, especially from a corporate standpoint, when you're promoting inclusion. I mean, because we all know when we think of DEI, it starts from the top down. So, I mean, you have to be courageous, when you are, when you're building the case for diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it takes courageous leadership. It takes you standing up and saying, this is why I believe in this. It takes conviction. So again, believe it in yourself. I still think it, goes, I best serve other people when I can be authentic with myself, right? And remove myself, so to speak, to be there for others. But I think it takes courageous leadership, when you talk about promoting inclusion.
Oh my goodness, I love it.
I'd like to. I love what you just said, and I also I appreciate what this sweet, beautiful young woman just said. It says so much. When we talk about the isms, I'll call them. It can be ageism, it can be colorism, it can be womanism. There's always the ism, right? Someone has a challenge with the ism. And I can tell you that the important thing is, and I'm a spiritual person, when I walk through that door in a corporate America, I walk in with two people, me and God. And I know sometimes I have to stand up to people that don't look like me, but I have to stand up to what's true about the people that I represent. I've been in situations in corporate America where I've had people ask me questions like, what do Black people think about this? Well, I don't know all Black people. So let's not assume that we all have the same thought. So you have to be strong enough, like Latoya is saying, is she like she just said, to be courageous enough to speak your truth. And I've had to do that in more than one occasion. And sometimes they didn't like it, but that's okay. It was still the truth. And if we're going to be impactful for our people, we have to be able to speak when it's uncomfortable, because it needs to be said. And I am just a bulldog when it comes to the underserved. It's not underserved to me, it's neglected. So we've
Oh,
neglected certain segments of this country, certain segments of these people. It's not something we did wrong. It's what the country did wrong. So make that clear. So I think it's hard, and I have to not get on my soapbox because, like I said, you guys, I'm a woman of the 60s. But irregardless of what the situation is, when you speak your truth is going to be okay. No matter what that person is receiving it, God's going to make it okay. And someone's going to learn from that. Somebody needed to hear that statement from you. Somebody needed to understand that what you're saying is truthful. And if you're not going to receive it, next, because there's plenty of them out there. I love what you just said. This young woman is setting a precedence for young leadership in this organization. We need that desperately. And I love that she's setting a platform that there will be others that will come behind her with the same kind of tenacity that our Madam President has right here. Don't be afraid. Speak up. Make it happen. Okay, I'm done. I'm dropping the mic.
A bulldog for the neglected. That was it for me.
Damn, don't call me underserved. We are neglected people. We are not underserved because we serve each other very well. It's the neglected people of this country. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm done.
Miss Viola, I don't know if you can say much after that, but I just wanted to open up the rest of that question to you.
Let me just say ditto to all of it. It was so good, and I agree with it all. I will add this, that when someone wants to, they tell me that, hey, I want to get on those platforms. I want to do what you all do. I tell them this. I won't say it, but this is how I feel. I won't pass my torch, but I will light yours.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'll open every door I can open for you. I'll sit and help. But, don't ask me to give you my torch. No, I'll light yours. So,
I love
that's a good point.
Love
it. Love that.
Love it.
That. Look at all these isms we're getting.
yeah.
These are great.
I know.
Now, Madam President, I have seen this next question, Madam President, I have seen you do this in real time, support other women within our organization, within this platform. And what I can personally say is what I love that you do is she is a master at words, composure, and never, I guess, making you feel less than. It's always like, okay, well, let's pivot. And I would say that you do that exceptionally well. So this I already know how you support women within our organization, but I do want to ask you, how do you support, and how can other women support other women in their organization?
Oh my goodness. So all I can think about is I am a first generation entrepreneur. And to have someone support me and lead me in the direction that I need to go so that I can be productive and successful, those things would have been extremely important to have known. So often we get into a situation where we wish we had this from someone else, but we refuse to be the giver of what it is that we wish we had. And if everyone would think about that and lead with that, it would take you to a different platform. My entire office is filled with women. So I support women all day, every day. Every employee on my payroll, with the exception of my boys, they're all women. And what I know is God didn't show me the way because it was all from him. He didn't show me the way so that I can close it off and be the only successful person that I know. I want to be surrounded by successful people. And if I can pour a little bit into someone so that they can take the next step, that is what I am designated to do, and not by myself, by him. And I'm not losing anything, nor does it take anything away from me. And I know on the executive team, you guys hear how I praise Madam Ida about her connection with the other local chapter presidents, because I recognize that she has something that I do not possess. But together, we are a force to be reckoned with. And that is more powerful than anything.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. Now, Miss Donna and Viola, obviously you have a very close professional relationship that has
Mhm.
allowed Viola to even further blossom in her career. So I will kind of reframe this question to be more geared towards you. Now, we've already know that you have given Miss Donna Viola actionable advice in her career. Have you really taken her under your wing? And we know that you're an advocate. But how else do you think that women should be supported in this organization? Because you've already done it. So how, when
Mhm.
you look at executive women, executive Black women, what do you think that they need the most?
When I
Professionally.
think about professionally for Black women, I think it's important that we have, you could call that person best friend at work, or you've got to have that person that you can go to help to stand you up, because it can be really tough sometimes. So I would say that what we need to make sure of is that we have the kinship. I love the way Madam President just explained that she recognizes the gift of someone else and how that impacts her leadership. And I think that's what we have to do. So I'm always open to anyone that comes to me, because I consider this, God blesses me with this knowledge. It's not finished until I pass it on to somebody else. A
Yeah.
blessing has two parts: what I get and what I give. And so I have no problems with that. I think you need to have a partner. You need to have that person that you can go to, that you can
Mm,
talk to. Although Viola and Latoya and I work for different companies, that doesn't matter. We're still women who support women in this business. So
mhm.
if you have a question, you have a need, I'm open to that. I'm open to being a support to them as they have been a support to me. So that's what I would say. You've got to have that connection person that means the most to you. Mhm. Mhm.
I love it. I
So,
love it. Miss Viola and then Miss Latanya.
I agree, of course, with both Letitia and Donna's comments about supporting women. But I think that I would have to say, and this applies to anybody, men and women, if you lead with integrity, that'll get you there and
mhm.
outlast the
Mhm.
persecution. We go through so
Mhm.
much in corporate
Woo.
America and just with our lives, period. I can just tell
Mhm.
you, if you outlast the persecution, you'll be okay.
Mhm.
You'll come out on the other side. And
Mhm.
always, always lead with integrity. Integrity.
Yes,
That's it for
love
me.
that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, Viola, that's so well said.
Mm.
You.
I simply put, um, I can't keep what I don't give away. Okay.
Mm,
Mm.
So we are we are here, in my opinion, I think a lot of people grapple with what's my purpose? Okay.
Mm.
Your purpose is to serve other people,
Mhm.
the way I see it.
Mhm.
Okay. That means to support other people. Okay. To stand up for other people. Because I do believe in just the principle of whatever I'm doing. See, I believe in whatever I give to the universe, I'm going to get back. Okay. That
Mhm.
that could be negative, positive,
Yeah.
whatever. Now, here's the
Mhm.
You
thing.
deserve.
God gives me the ability to decide what I'm giving out. What am I
Mm.
planting?
Mhm.
What does my
Mhm.
garden look like? Right? Do I have
Mhm.
some weeds choking some other plants out? Okay.
mhm,
Mm-hmm.
Then what I need to go pull those weeds out, right?
Right.
Mhm.
So I just think that we have to be very cognizant of what we're planting. And then sometimes we
Mhm.
wonder, why are we getting it back this way? Well, what are you planting? To
Right.
me, it
woo.
always goes back to self. It always goes
Mm-hmm.
back
Mhm.
to self. So when I
Mhm.
when I think about my number one, objective, how can I help somebody today? You know,
Right.
this is we're on this show right now. We're supporting somebody right now that we're not even aware of. We support someone
Right.
when we go to the grocery store, and we might just have a very a very short conversation with that person. The point is really not your business when you're supporting someone. You just show up. Show up every day. Show up with a mindset of, I am here to bring somebody else along. And I think the rest happens organically.
Yes. I love this. Lead with integrity, outlast persecution, pull out the weeds. What are you planning? What you plan is what you get back. I think that can go in all facets of life, everywhere, and everything that you can think of. Madam President Letitia, you have made it a real effort to leave something behind to the next generation, our Gen Z. For the other ladies on the panel that don't know, Madam President Letitia spearheaded, created a Gen Z project, basically educating our youth about how to start a business. They had LLCs, taught them about how to run a business, and they graduated from this program just recently, right, Madam President?
Yes, May 28th.
So knowing that you have started this Gen Z project on this platform, and that, this is something that you can kind of leave behind in your legacy for the female entrepreneurs that were on that platform, what advice would you give them specifically?
Oh, so the female entrepreneurs on that platform, guys, they were absolutely amazing. They came in ready. One of them worked 2 jobs, and she was interning and she was in college. I had another one that they already owned their own business. I think one was in law school. Like they were doing it. They were absolutely amazing. If I had to leave any advice for them, because that's going to be kind of tough, because I felt like the road that they were going on, they were already going in the right direction. If I had to give them any advice, I would definitely tell them to continue progressing as they are, and to be sure that they find someone that they can provide the information that they have been given, that they can feed someone else that. Other than that, these ladies were already hustlers, and just remain confident. And that's what they were. They were extremely confident.
Yes, I love it. I love it. For the next generation, Miss Donna and Viola, what would you give advice to this next generation of female executives, entrepreneurs that are aspiring in their career, building their career? What advice would you like to leave behind for them?
I'll defer to you.
I can
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Viola. I think the biggest thing is don't give up. Don't give up. You're going to meet some peaks, you're going to meet some valleys, but don't give up. You have to have the stick-to-itiveness to be an entrepreneur. It's not easy to do that. So if it's big enough for you to dream it, it's big enough for you to put the time in and making sure that you stay with it. So don't give up. I just keep pushing. Every day is a push. Keep pushing. Viola?
I love it.
And I would just say to that, treat people the way you want to be treated.
Ooh.
In this journey, on this journey, whatever, just treat people the way you want to be treated. You'll win. They want to, you'll win.
And Miss LaTanya?
Oh, you're on mute.
Tanya, you're on mute.
You're on mute.
It looked like she was saying something really good.
You were saying something good.
So I would say first thing, come off of mute. No, but unmute. No, but that might be good. Unmute. Stand up and be heard. Okay.
That's
Don't be
good.
afraid of your own power.
Ooh.
Step into your position that God has given you. And and be courageous without feeling like you have to step on others, because remember, we all have our place in this.
Yeah.
So that would be my advice.
I love it. I love it. So as we're wrapping up this segment, before we were in the back room, obviously, women in general sometimes have a hard time of us discussing ourselves and tooting our own horn. And thank you, Miss LaTanya, for reframing this question. So I'm going to ask the reframed question. How do you manage recognition? I feel like us as women, we never want to talk about all we do. We always want to remain this, this humble, this sense of humility, which is all amazing. But then no one really actually knows what you do. Like, they don't know how extreme your bandwidth is in your life, in your career, how much that you have dealt with, how much you have accomplished, surpassed. I mean, to the point where we would just almost be like, no, it's okay. And I feel personally like we need to recognize that. We need to shout it from the mountaintops, because you just never know who's watching you that just needs that sense of encouragement and motivation. So I'm going to direct this directly to you, Madam President.
Yeah.
How do you manage recognition?
So I'm going to tell you, just like everyone else, I had struggled with that. I had a difficult time with being recognized. When someone would say, even, oh my goodness, your outfit is so cute, I get embarrassed. Or when someone say, I think you're doing an amazing job, girl, you're this, you're that. And I would kind of shy away from it until I was on a platform, either this platform or a platform similar to this. No, I know what it was. I was sitting next to, and LaTanya, I don't know if you remember this, but I was sitting next to LaTanya, and I'd gotten up and I made a comment about me going to college, and I got married at 19. I had 2 boys. I went to college, and I sat back down and LaTanya said, girl, you just inspired me. And that changed my life. After that, what I recognize is, yes, as women, sometimes we do a lot. And sometimes we don't recognize how much we've done until it's validated by someone else. And at that point, she completely validated me. And I said, no longer am I going to feel shame and or shy of all the things that I have accomplished, because I could inspire someone else. And if I don't share that, I no longer am that inspiration, number one. And then number two, if I am shy about what I have accomplished, does that mean that I am not as confident as I proclaim to be? So after that, I've just decided, when someone says something, so you'll always hear me throwing out this, and it's not that I'm conceited. It's not that I'm thinking that I'm above anyone else, but I know my struggle, and no one else knows. No one knows all of the things that I've been through, but every now and then I'll give out some nuggets to let someone else know that you too can accomplish this. If I can be here today, trust and believe you can too. So that's kind of my story.
Thank you so much, Madam Letitia. Ms. Viola, I'm going to pass this off to you. How do you manage recognition?
I struggle like Letitia and like many of the other ladies on this panel. But I will tell you the one thing that I am most proud of, but I want to see more, is I was the first African-American female branch manager for Wells Fargo in Houston.
Wow.
And I've only known one other since I started back in 1980 something, right? So I want to see that change. We have had an African-American female regional manager that was over Texas, Belinda Everett, who is now over the NAACP in Houston. So, she's a housing director. But I want to see more African-American female branch managers, or area managers or regionals. So, yes, I was the first one. And I had a hard time saying that because I'm thinking, sure, Northwest bought Wells Fargo, so I want to make sure, First Interstate was there, and there was a female lady, but she wasn't for Wells Fargo, so I wanted to make sure. But yes, I was. So,
and that is that's quite of an accomplishment, because how long has Houston had a Wells Fargo branch?
Since 1990.
Okay, now back up, guys. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
I do get a thank you every other Friday.
Yeah, okay. No, so that's what started me on this journey. Let me just say that. That's why,
I
okay.
love that.
Amen.
I
And
love
thank
that.
you so much,
But it was a
And
Viola, for
so,
sharing that.
mortgage branch manager, not bank, not the bank
yeah,
side.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And I guess I can answer that now. It's like I'm listening to you ladies today, and I'm thinking, Donna, you should do better about recognition because I do struggle with it. And um, and even now, I'm thinking about it just on this call, and it's like, but I just do this because I had a good friend that said to me one time, I do this job not unto the company, but unto God.
Mm.
And that has impacted me so much that when I do get recognized, and I've had some first, but I think when I think about it, it feels shy, but I have to say I feel proud when I think about somebody that I mentored and they've done well. Like I have a young man that I mentored and worked with that now operates his own CDFI. I've got another guy that opened up his own mortgage company, and I have another guy that, I've got all these different people that I've inspired and touched and mentored, and they're doing well. And so they're like my little chickens, but I don't want to really say, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's,
Yes.
you know
I
how
know.
big mama wants to make sure you enjoy that chicken, but she don't want you
Yeah.
to tell you how she cooked it.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing. And I have to say that, I'm going to do better with it. I really am, Viola. I am going to do better with it. So, but it's still a struggle for me. So, and
Yeah.
I've been in quite a few fights when it comes to real estate. I served 35 years in California, and then I came to the East Coast. And I think one of the biggest accomplishments that I had was when Los Angeles put in the Century Freeway, the 101 freeway. They took out a lot of homes in Watts and Compton and areas where Black people were. Johnny Cochran brought a lawsuit that made the state of California pay those people what we would call reparations, but they basically paid them for their their land, and then they were refused lending opportunities with housing. So I
Wow.
broke the ceiling with that, and I said,
Mm.
So I went in and started doing lines of credit. I was working for a Black Savings and Loan, Broadway Federal in Los Angeles. I taught them how to do lines of credit for Black contractors so they would get contracts on the freeway, because Johnny Cochran said if we're building it, our people have to be a part of it. But they couldn't, they needed to have a line of credit in order to do it. So I did that. So, and now you drive it down that freeway, know that I worked on it.
Yes.
Come on, Miss Donna.
Yes.
Come on
I
now,
kept
Miss Donna.
there was a Black girl that had a construction company and nobody would even talk to her. Her name is Curtom Builders. And I took her aside, and another guy that had a contracting business. I said, we're going to do this. What do you need? And I made the board do them a line of credit. We brought the certificate in and they had to give them the contract.
Love it.
So
Wow.
Black
I
people helped me
love
build
it.
that 101.
Yep.
So
Oh,
I
Oh my
that's
love
my
it.
biggest
gosh.
accomplishment.
That's
Thank
what
you
she
so much,
just
Miss Donna.
she just
You've been
described
like
to
Yeah.
putting figures in mortgage
right.
lending.
yes.
Yes, she
Yeah,
just
pretty
said
much.
courageous
Pretty
leadership.
much.
Yep.
Well,
Yep.
we
Yep.
ladies, we use the word we struggle with it. I see it. We have an
Hmm.
opportunity with it, right?
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Thank
good.
you.
That's
Thank you,
definitely.
stepping
Latanya.
Thank
into
you.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
Thank
opportunities.
you.
we right. So it and listen, I have an opportunity with it. It has just become, or I would say, in the last couple of years, I've just kind of come out of my shell with it. From now, if
Hmm.
anyone meets me, if they're listening, they'll be like, "She lying." No, no, and that is the perception, of me. But I'll share this with you. For the longest time, I did allow others to dim my light because they said my light
Hmm.
was too bright. So
Hmm.
I started
Mm.
trying to dim my light. Still to
Mm.
this time, still to this day, sometimes I feel uncomfortable walking in certain rooms because once again, it goes back to me. I question, should I be in that room? It's nobody
Mm.
else, it's me. So I think that's where a lot of that comes from. When we look at being uncomfortable with our accomplishments, you know, and you know where I get really sad sometimes, or when I look at myself, see everybody else recognizes it, but I'm not walking
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
with,
Mm.
that confidence. So,
Mhm.
ladies, it's time for us to step up where we've always been. We didn't put
Mhm.
ourselves here. We're here for a reason. So I think when you
Yep.
go in that way, you
That's
know,
right.
come on in the room.
Yep.
Come
All
on in
right.
the
Right.
room. It's time for us to be in this room. I am not going to
Mhm.
allow anyone else to dim my light. So with
Come
this said,
on.
I saw
All
this
right.
Yeah.
on Facebook today and I must read it. Stop trying to be less of yourself. Be too powerful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Be too
All
loving.
right.
Be too
That's
whole.
good.
Be too magical. Be too
Mhm.
sparkly. Baby, I'm sparkling today.
Yes, you are. Come on. Come on, Miss Latanya. Come on.
Woo, that is
Girl,
good.
your light is dimming my eyesight. It is so bright. I love it.
So right.
Girl,
I wonder
I
if my
need my
transition
sunglasses
lenses are
for
turning
you
dark.
ladies.
I love hearing
Oh,
the good
this is
stuff.
wonderful.
That was good.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for everyone for sharing that. Because I know that that's an opportunity for us, and I just really appreciate everyone for sharing that. I mean, now if I pass a one-on-one in LA, I'm gonna call it Miss Donna.
That's
I'm gonna
right.
say, "Hey, Miss Donna."
Miss
That's
Donna's
right.
all
Yeah.
right.
The second track,
That's
here's
Say
the
right.
black
Brenda
people built this.
Fargo.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I love celebrating women. I love celebrating us. We are not celebrated enough. So
Correct.
any chance that I have to say thank you or to celebrate anyone in any level of their accomplishment, I love it. I love celebrations. It's like one of my favorite things ever. So thank you everyone for sharing that. I really do appreciate you. And if you're ever kind of feel like that opportunity for recognition is coming up, I just hope that each and every one of you know that you are a walking testimony for God. So share your
Mhm.
testimony, share how far God has taken you and how God has used you
Mhm.
Thank you,
to
Lord.
elevate and help others. So maybe if
Mhm.
that can be reframed, then the opportunity would be a better seized. Speaking of celebration, um, I could not close out this last call, without a special thank you to our Madam President, Letitia Grant. I have seen you work so tirelessly throughout this administration and accomplish so many things. Honestly, sometimes I sit back and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how she does it. I don't know how she can do it all. Like, you'll be like, oh, Madam Letitia, if you see the way she works, it's a million miles per minute. And I'm like, I'm just somewhere in the dust in the back. I'm
That's all
somewhere
right.
sifted
That's all right.
through. But I just want to take this moment to say that I appreciate you. You have inspired me personally just by being yourself. And tomorrow is your special day. So any ladies that would like to share a few words, and then of course we need to close out with a happy birthday, 'cause tomorrow's your birthday.
So for
Yes.
those of you that do not know, tomorrow I will be 44 in the fofo.
All
So
right.
I am so excited because so they refer to my neighborhood as Fofo, which is a bus line. So I'll be 44 and I happen to be, so that hence is why it's such a big year for me. But yeah, I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be concluding my administration this year, and the person coming behind me, I'm excited for them. It has been an amazing run. So, of course, I couldn't have done any of this without you guys and our audience, our executive team, and this professional women in real estate. Like Latanya said, this was just a thought. She called and she says, "Girl, we have got to do something." And I will tell you, I don't know what it has done for others. However, for me personally, it has done so much validation and just being able to bounce comments off of another professional woman and to understand that my struggles aren't just my struggles. Most of them are our struggles. And if we were to just kind of stop and realize we're not in this by ourselves. And I'm an only child, so I feel like most things are by myself, but it's not true. I'm not here by myself. You know, I have the Latanyas of the world. And yes, there are some people that don't want to see you successful, but God will not let them through. You just surround yourself with your sisters. And this is a sisterhood that I've never had. I'm just so grateful. Thank you guys so much. And yes, tomorrow's my birthday. I'm going to party like it's 1999 because
Happy birthday.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
you.
Happy birthday. Are we
Thank
ready?
you.
1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you. Happy
sign it.
birthday to
To
you.
you.
Happy birthday.
Madam Letitia.
Oh, this is
Madam
horrible.
Letitia.
I am not Erica Badu.
Happy birthday to you. I am
Birthday
so good.
to
We don't
you.
have to sing.
Happy
We love you,
birthday.
girl. We love you.
Thank you so much, ladies, for joining us. I so appreciate you, each and every one of you, for taking your time coming here and blessing us, our audience, our executive team, in this platform. And hopefully we'll see you soon on the next series. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
guys.
Have a
Bye,
good day.
everybody.
Bye bye,
care.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, lady, we done.